Welcome. This is CMO's, I don't even know, how many of you have done 6th, 7th, 5th, I don't know, showcase. And it's like spring 2016, I think, and we're really excited to be putting on this show. We have a ton of amazing musicians performing today. And I'm just going to introduce myself, and then we'll get the show going. So my name is Lily. I am the president of CMO, and a group of friends and I founded CMO about 2.5 years ago. And so it's really exciting to see kind of our organization grow and to put on these showcases every quarter for you. So I'm going to introduce our MC. Our MC is Theo Beers. We are really excited to have him. Theo is a bassist in the USO, and that's the first kind of situation in which I met Theo. And Theo's great. He, every Halloween concert, and if you're part of USO, or if you've seen USO, you know this, we always dress up, and Theo comes in a mask every time, and sometimes it's Obama, and sometimes it's like some gruesome character, and every time Barbara starts the show, she kind of looks over at Theo and is like, and then keeps going. So it's great. Theo also just had a baby with his wife, so oh my God. Yeah, so baby is 3 weeks old, I think. 3.5. Oh my God, that's amazing. I cannot do that. Okay. Cool. All right, so I'm going to welcome Theo to the stage and enjoy the show.
First, let me reiterate Lily's welcome to the Spring Showcase. As you know, my name is Theo Beers. I'm a 6th-year PhD candidate in the Department of Near Eastern Languages and Civilizations, and more importantly, for our purposes, a member of the bass section in the University Orchestra since 2010. I've been asked to MC this event. Why me? I'm not sure. Perhaps the organizers thought it would be nice for there to be at least one bassist on the program, and it's easier to have that be the MC than to find chamber music repertoire. Be that as it may, we have what looks like a really nice program this evening. 5 composers are represented, the earliest of whom Beethoven was born in 1770, and the last of whom, Dohnanyi, died in 1960. When I received a copy of the program, I noted with a bit of surprise that we have not a single string quartet. In fact, all of the pieces that will be performed tonight are duets and trios. This, along with the wide temporal and stylistic range represented in the program, reflects a chamber music community at UChicago which is getting to be really well developed. So we should all be proud of the musicians, of course, and also to the leaders of CMO, people like Chen and Lily Brown. To my knowledge, nothing like this existed when I first came to the university several years ago. If you appreciate this kind of programming, then I hope you will find an opportunity to thank the organizers. In fact, now would be a good time. Our first piece, if I'm not mistaken, is the Romance for Horn and Piano by Alexander Scriabin, a Russian composer and pianist who was born in 1872 and died in 1915. Scriabin is probably best known these days for his solo piano works, which is too bad. If he had lived just a bit longer, then we might remember him instead as the person who redefined music and the arts for all humanity. At least that's what he claimed he was going to do in the final period of his career. He was planning a monumental multimedia work which he wanted to be performed in the Himalayan mountains. According to Scriabin, the premiere of this work would trigger an Armageddon, quote, a grandiose religious synthesis of all arts which would herald the birth of a new world. Sadly, instead, he developed a sore on his upper lip, which got infected, and the composer died of septicemia in April 1915. What might have been. In any event, this Romance for Horn and Piano, which, as I understand, was never actually published during the composer's lifetime, will be performed here by Anthony Chen and Maxwell Clarke, who refer to their collaboration as Maxthonywell Plarnke. Okay. Without further ado, let's hear what they have for us. University ended up being an awful lot, what he said, including that his grandson, Christoph Dohnanyi, who later became music director of the Beethoven Orchestra. He has Erno himself has a remarkable biography. I hope if you're ever bored and want to read about an interesting figure around the World War II period on Wikipedia, I highly recommend his entry. He is one of the many important figures in European classical music whose reputations were sadly and unnecessarily doomed to be controversial after World War II. It's taken decades for historians to revive his reputation, and now recent biographers have called attention to Erno Dohnanyi's heroic efforts to resist Nazism in the Hungarian music community, but he was under suspicion for the rest of his life after the war, for the 15 or so years that he lived after that. I don't really know anything about the piece being performed tonight, again, the Serenade Opus 10, but I did find out that he wrote it in 1904 at the age of 26, by which point he was already internationally a star pianist. All I can think is, here I am, 28 years old, struggling to finish my measly dissertation. In any event, the performance of this serenade will be Riena Yu, Isabel Bolo, and Molina, who refer to themselves as the Dohnanyi Trio.
Thank you.
forgetting to mention the order of the movements on that, although I guess it would have been clear to all of us which one was the scherzo. So our next piece is a Passacaglia for violin and viola by a somewhat lesser known composer, the Norwegian Johan Halvorsen, who died in 1935. In fact, I know almost nothing about him. But I recently did read an interesting tidbit about his violin concerto, which was performed a few times in the year 1909 and was thought to be lost forever. See, back then they didn't have helpful agencies like the NSA to keep a copy of everything they read. In any event, the score of the violin concerto was rediscovered just this year, I think a few months ago, by librarians at the University of Toronto, of all places. And it will be re-premiered for the first time in over a century. So I thought that was interesting. The only other thing I will say about this is that I thought it might be helpful to define for the audience Passacaglia, which is a musical form that originated, or is thought to have originated in 17th century Spain, usually serious in tone, usually in triple meter. Its most distinctive characteristic is that it should have an ostinato bass line, that is, a repeated bass line. Although, not having heard Halvorsen's Passacaglia before, I have no idea whether it conforms to any of those norms. It will be performed for us tonight by Elaine Yao and Chen, who refer to their collaboration as the Turing machine. First, I hope you'll agree that that last piece was definitely recognizably Passacaglia. It's reassuring. Next up, we have Beethoven's Piano Trio, Opus 1, number 3. I don't think I really need to say anything about Beethoven. However, on the theme of young composers, you may have noted the Opus number 1. This piano trio was first performed in 1793 when our friend Ludwig was only 22. So perhaps you UChicago undergrads might think of this as his BA thesis. However, don't be fooled by the opus number into thinking that this is Beethoven's earliest surviving composition and that he only got started in his early 20s. He does have a number of earlier works, some of them still performed, albeit without opus numbers. Anyway, this trio will be performed tonight. I should say the first two movements of this trio will be performed tonight by Mei Wang, Mimi Zhang, and Hannah Kostic, who have chosen for themselves the name Capricctrio. Capricctrio. Please welcome.
thank first my team, or the CMO board, that is just amazing and like makes this happen. I just like stand around and then it just happens. So I'm just gonna name them, and if you guys can like wave or smile or whatever. Annie Chen, Clara Cao, Sonia Lee, Sarah Liu, Catherine Lee, Sharon Zhang, Emily Brown, Anthony Pan, and Shirley Zhang, who is currently in Paris, and Shirley next year will be taking over as president, which is very exciting, and Shirley's going to be amazing. Some of the people to thank, so obviously our spectral coaches, the people that are invisibly here that have made a huge difference in, or maybe, I don't know, like hopefully, like a difference in our playing. Barbara Schubert, who unfortunately had to step out but was here earlier. The Logan staff that makes this possible, so Sean Wills and Summer Sparrison, as well as Barbara's team, including Laura Swearsman. And then I just wanted to thank also our photographer for the evening, Tanyan, and then our amazing MC, Theo. And then I wanted to also mention some of our graduating seniors. There are some of our musicians that have been with us kind of through the years and are going to leave us, which is like really crazy. First, Maxwell Clarke, who is somewhere here. Anyway, Maxwell said that he does not want me to say much. So he majored in physics and he like kind of dated my roommate. Okay, cool. There you go, that's what you get. All right, and then the other, our other graduating senior, Riena Yu. Riena is a great friend of mine. She does kind of amazing work in critical race studies, but she's going to UCLA next year for a dual degree program in, or dual degree in law school and social service. And then finally, one of our board members, or two of our board members are graduating this year, and I want to thank both of them. So Anthony, if you want to make your way to the stage, I'm going to like say some awkward shit about you, and then we'll go on. So Anthony is our secretary, which means that he like makes everything run behind the scenes. And so all of the emails that you all get and you read, every week, that's Anthony, and all of the kind of constant surveys and all of the like inbox and file sorting and all the crazy shit that has to get done, that is Anthony. So thank you so much, Anthony. We have like flowers, because it's like, I guess like a traditional thing we do. Yeah.
Also, this is for our amazing president, Lily Chen. Thank you, Lily.
Oh my god. All right, well, here. Do you want to take this for me? Thanks! Okay. We have another graduate senior who couldn't make it out tonight because I think she has the flu, which sounds terrible, so oh my god. Her name is Emily Brown. She is an incredible bassist. Shout out to our bass section. They have their shit together, and the rest of us really don't. Percussion. Anyway, just kidding. And she also, next year, will be attending the Peabody Institute for Composition. So Emily has been really integral to our team as well, and thank you to her. Okay, and before I make my way off the stage, I just wanted to acknowledge that in the past few weeks, a lot of the students on campus have been mourning and in kind of a state of mourning. I wanted to just mention the names of the students that we have lost in the past month and the past quarter. So Victor Huang, Renata Horowitz, Donna Guo, Miles Johnson, Uma Kalori, and Ambrose Monnier. It's hard to like have coherent thoughts about losing students. But I guess two that I have, one that not to forget that we're always kind of embedded in like larger social relationships, even when we're like doing something as like, you know, beautiful or like mundane as like practicing. And also the second thing that like music, I think, gives us kind of an opportunity to like come together and to find solidarity and find friendship, and it can be a starting point to have those kind of meaningful conversations about things that are really hard to talk about who we are and who we are in relation to each other, in relation to our larger world. So, all right, kind of a dark note, but it's okay. We really want to remember our students. And I think it's really amazing that we all kind of made it out here tonight and that we're here to support each other and here to hear the kind of beautiful music that's being made. So I'm going to welcome Theo one last time and thank you guys so much. And yeah, and like random shit, like there's food, I don't know.
On a slightly brighter note, maybe some of you remembers the orchestra got this email from the music department a few weeks ago asking for nomination letters for Barbara Schubert for the Janelle Mueller Award for Pedagogical Excellence in Pedagogy. I'm not sure what exactly it's called, but I saw a couple days ago, apparently she won the award, so I was hoping she'd stick around till the end of tonight's performance so we could all congratulate her. But she's definitely earned her weekend rest. I had very little time to send in a nomination letter for Barbara because the deadline was when my son was about a week and a half old. But I pretty much wrote a 2-line email to the music department chair saying, Barbara Schubert is the hardest working faculty member I know at UChicago, which is definitely true. So the reason she probably came to this event at 7 p.m. is because that was the end of her workday. At least that's my guess. Anyway, congratulations to Barbara. So if you run into her, let her know. And then, anyway, the final piece on tonight's program is the fourth movement, just the fourth movement, of Sergei Rachmaninoff's Cello Sonata in G minor. As with a few of the other composers, I think most of us probably know a good deal about Rachmaninoff. He was born in Russia in 1873, lived through an unbelievable historical period in his home country. As a result of those developments, he emigrated to the United States, and he eventually died here in 1943. I found just one anecdote about his biography recently that I thought I would share with you. After his first symphony premiered in 1895 and was panned by critics, Rachmaninoff fell into such a depression that he was unable to compose anything of substance for several years. And then in the year 1900, he went through what must be one of the most successful rounds of psychotherapy in recorded history. After seeing his therapist, who was also, I think, a musician and a good friend of his, for a course of 3 months, Rachmaninoff felt so much better that in a flash, he managed to compose none other than his second piano concerto, an instant classic and now a beloved jewel in the standard repertoire. Really, the American Psychotherapy Association should use this story in its promotional materials. As for the cello sonata in G minor, it's going to be performed tonight by Indra Molina and Oliver Zoe, who call themselves Due Nocciole. And I also wanted to say, I just can't believe how much repertoire Andrew seems to go through. It really blows me away, because just a few weeks ago I was playing with the orchestra while he delivered an outstanding interpretation of Ernest Bloch's Shalomo. And then just earlier this evening he was on stage, not only playing the Dohnanyi Serenade, but also showing us all how to maintain composure with a cello that doesn't want to stay put. I'm sure we will enjoy his interpretation of Rachmaninoff's Sonata in G minor just as much, along with Oliver, of course, on piano. So here is Due Nocciole.